I speak to you today because the incident involving the 11 Nigerian troops did not appear out of nowhere. In our region, nothing happens without a chain of actions beneath the surface. When that military aircraft entered our airspace without authorization, every alarm we had built for the protection of our sovereignty activated at once. As president, I do not have the luxury of assuming good intentions. I must defend the integrity of our land, our people, and our future. When my commanders informed me that the plane had landed in Ouagadougou, I asked one question. Are we dealing with an accident or a mission that was never declared? That question shaped every decision that followed. The soldiers were detained, questioned, and assessed. Not because we sought confrontation, but because Burkina-Faso has reached a point where we allow no room for uncertainty. The Sahel is under pressure from every direction. Any mistake can open the door to destabilization. People outside our borders saw the release of the troops as the end of the matter. They were wrong. What happened inside our operations room was far more revealing. Some will say we acted aggressively. I say we acted responsibly. Burkina Faso has been targeted before by hidden agendas, by unannounced flights, by intelligence operations masked as humanitarian movements. I carry the memory of every incident that cost our soldiers their lives. I will not repeat the errors of past governments that trusted the wrong forces and paid in blood. Releasing the troops was not an act of softness. It was a decision grounded in the information we gathered and the stability we intend to maintain within the Sahel Alliance. We showed that we will respond firmly when our sovereignty is breached, yet we will also choose diplomacy when the truth clears the fog. But let me be clear to every neighbor and every power watching. Burkina Faso will question anything that threatens our security. We will challenge anyone who tests our borders, and we will respond with unity, discipline, and conviction. The soldiers appeared disciplined, but unsure of how much they were permitted to reveal. That alone signaled that the mission carried layers beyond what was shared publicly. I will not disclose every detail of what was learned, not because I fear consequences, but because national security demands discretion. Yet I can say this. There were elements that did not align with a simple emergency landing, and that knowledge shaped how we responded. Our decision to release the troops came after three strategic considerations. First, escalating the situation would have opened the door for ECOWAS actors who are waiting for any excuse to paint Burkina Faso as unstable. Second, the Sahel Alliance values predictable cooperation within the region, even when tension arises. Third, we had already achieved what mattered most. We asserted our sovereignty and made it clear that no military force enters our territory without explanation. I chose to release the soldiers because Burkina Faso had already won the most important battle. We demonstrated discipline, intelligence, and control. We showed Africa that the new Sahel does not panic, does not bow, and does not react blindly. But we also uncovered signals that this incident is part of a wider pattern, a pattern that threatens the balance of power in West Africa. And now that pattern must be addressed. In the days following the release of the 11 Nigerian troops, many asked why Burkina Faso reacted so decisively. They forget that our nation stands at the center of a silent contest for influence in the Sahel. Every move on our soil is watched, interpreted, and measured by actors who want to shape West Africa's future without ever stepping into the light. This is why I say the incident was not an isolated mistake, it was a test. Someone wanted to see how far Burkina Faso would allow its sovereignty to be stretched. The pattern has been clear for months, flights skirting close to restricted airspace, intelligence reports showing unusual coordination between foreign operatives and regional political actors. Inside Nigeria, there are factions pushing for alignment with foreign interests that oppose the Sahel Alliance. I do not blame the Nigerian people. They are our brothers. I speak of political forces who still cling to the idea that West Africa must remain dependent, divided, and vulnerable. These groups know that a united Sahel challenges their influence, so they watch us, they probe us, they wait for weaknesses. This is why our response was disciplined. We acted firmly, but not recklessly. We allowed no chaos, no panic, and no emotional reaction. My intention was simple. Burkina Faso must show that it is no longer a weak state that can be manipulated or intimidated. I refuse to let anyone divide the Sahel. Our enemies rely on fragmentation, they rely on suspicion, they rely on the belief that African nations cannot trust one another. That belief is exactly what I intend to destroy. When we questioned the 11 soldiers, we did so with precision, not hostility. I wanted clarity, not escalation. And when we released them, it was a demonstration that Burkina Faso acts with discipline, not fear. During the investigation, one conclusion became undeniable. Someone wanted to observe how we would react under pressure. Someone hoped to identify divisions within our command structure. They wanted to see if the Sahel alliance could be shaken by a surprise event. Their expectation was simple. They believed Burkina Faso would panic, argue, or fracture. Instead, they saw unity, they saw control, they saw a nation that has rebuilt its spine. Nigeria remains an important partner, but I cannot ignore that certain actors within the region exploit these relationships. They create confusion between states so they can shape outcomes without accountability. If we had responded carelessly, those actors would have used the incident to justify new interference. That trap failed. Our clarity denied them the narrative they hoped to construct. This experience strengthened my conviction that Burkina Faso must continue transforming its security posture. Our skies must be monitored with precision. Our intelligence networks must grow stronger. Our communication with allies must be direct and immediate. In the new geopolitical landscape of the Sahel, hesitation is a luxury we cannot afford. We released the 11 soldiers, but we did not release our vigilance. We remain alert, we remain prepared, and we remain determined to protect our nation against every force that underestimates our resolve. The 11 soldiers were never the enemy. The real challenge is the strategy behind the incident, the calculations hidden beneath diplomatic language, and the efforts to measure our readiness. I want every foreign power to understand this. Burkina Faso does not fear engagement, but we will not tolerate disrespect. We welcome cooperation, but we reject manipulation. We stand open to dialogue, but we will not kneel. This incident revealed who is watching us, who is testing us, and who is preparing for the next move. And it confirmed that Burkina Faso must remain alert. Because in this new era, sovereignty is not defended once, it is defended every single day. The world will remember the release of the 11 Nigerian troops as a brief moment in regional news. But for Burkina Faso, it marked a turning point. It reminded us that vigilance is not a choice, it is a necessity for any nation that refuses to bow to external pressure.